Hello everyone, my name is Meghan LeVota and today I'm going to be answering a question. If you have a question that you would like me to answer about Myers-Briggs, Socionics, Enneagram, astrology, anything else you've heard me talk about or you think that I might have something to say on, please comment below and I will be selecting a question once a week for a video. So I'm so excited to get started and I'm so excited to read all of your questions. If your question is selected, I will be giving you a shout out. So in the video. So today, I'm going to be answering a question that I got from Twitter. If you don't already follow me on Twitter, my username is @HappySadLion on Twitter. So go follow me there if you're interested in Myers-Briggs and stuff. I also tweet a lot about astrology. So if you aren't into astrology, perhaps don't follow me there. But anyway, I got this question from Twitter. Emily, or M, @INFP_things. So she asks, how do you separate your self-concept from everything that you've learned through studying typology? What have you learned about yourself outside of your identification with personality types? Now, thank you so much for asking this, Em. I thought that this was an amazing question and one that we all could relate to. So for those of you who don't know, I got really into personality type in about 2012, and I have been pretty much hooked since then. This has never been a phase for me. I first, as soon as I was aware that there was a personality test at all, I took it. Even in middle school, before I was aware of the Myers-Briggs, I remember there was this website, I think it was like the N. I don't know if you guys remember, it was like that one TV network that was like a Canadian network that had like Degrassi and all of those shows on it. They had a really good like website with like games and quizzes that I used to go on in like probably 2006. Anyway, I have always been obsessed with quizzes. There were even like a few random websites I found in middle school that would, just any personality quiz, like this is like the pre BuzzFeed quiz age, like for real, like the dawn of internet quizzes. So yeah, I've always been interested in it, and I've always been interested in analyzing human behavior. So it was pretty natural fit for me once I first discovered that I was an ENFJ. And I think that because I discovered it whenever I was just graduating high school and about to go to college, it was this very pivotal point for me in my life where I really was thinking about, who am I? Who do I want to be? What sort of people do I want to be around? And so I think a lot of the obsession, it was like right place, right time sort of thing, where that was the time for me to be really figuring out myself, although you can at any time. So just wanted to sort of share that, yeah, I've not stopped, like probably lurking on forums at least every day. Like, I'm serious, like I've not stopped. I've been pretty much obsessed since I was 17 years old. So yeah, so that to know your personality type, and then I'm pretty sure I discovered Enneagram a couple of years after that. I mean, I think I knew I was a 2 around, I mean, like 2013 at least. And I'm a type 2 wing 3, sexual social, in the Enneagram. It's interesting because this question is making me realize I really did come of age as I am trying to know who I am with having these frameworks by my side. All of my serious relationships, I knew the person's type. Like, I was typing my professors. I was noticing the types of people that were involved in different majors and stuff like that in college. Like, I would be like, oh, it seems like this group of people in the journalism school are sort of like the SP clique, and these people are like the NT clique. Like, I would notice these things, and so these things are very embedded in my worldview. To now I'm at the point where I don't think about Myers-Briggs, it just is there, if that makes sense. I'm no longer interested in Myers-Briggs, if that makes sense. I don't search content anymore. Like, not that I'm not interested in a lot of your guys' content. I'm just wanting to sort of illustrate that this really is just like running in the background of my brain now. I don't think about it. I don't know. I mean, I think about it all the time, but hopefully you guys sort of get what I'm saying here, is that it's just so embedded in my worldview that it is hard to answer this question. How do you separate your own self-concept from all this? The main thing that I would like to say to that is that each of these personality systems are just layers. So I'm not the first person to say this. I can't remember where I got this from, but I've heard, it said a few times. It's sort of like if you're saying that you are the color purple and you put yourself in this box of being purple, and then this other box is for the color red. There are an infinite number of shades of red and purple. But if you're purple, you're purple. That's just how it is. And so that's sort of how I see the fact that I'm an ENFJ, the fact that I'm a Enneagram 2. It's be like saying that the color is purple. It doesn't say anything about me, if that makes sense. These are aspects of me. And I think it's easier for me to grasp that as an extroverted feeler because I'm not using FI to overly identify with these things. I'm just noticing them as aspects and layers. And I'm not saying that no FI user is going to view it as a layer, but I find it interesting that it was an INFP who asked the question, because I feel like this is something that a lot of INFPs would think about or struggle with, because your FI really wants to know who you are. And I would say that these, like typology, it's very useful in an FE way in the sense that it helps you understand groups of people. It helps you understand how you fit into the groups of people and behavior at large and all of that. It's not going to tell you who you are. Only you can tell you that. Because if you put all the INFPs in a room, each one of them is going to have something absolutely different to offer. And it's really important that we know that. And we aren't using these things for what they're not. I think that it's a wonderful self-growth tool, but it's not a tool, it won't do the work for you. They're just labels at the end of the day. And if you identify too much with a label, then that could actually inhibit you from really knowing who you are. So I am going to get into explaining who am I outside of the identification of personality types. But there was something else I was going to say. What was it? Oh, I was going to say that to truly get at who you are, there would have to be a million different personality types. So these things, personality type is not black and white, but they are simple clusters or boxes of people. But you as an individual shouldn't put yourself in a box, if that makes sense. These things are only useful in the sense that they are helping us understand who we are. It wouldn't be a very useful system if it was good enough to really explain our individual differences. In my opinion, our individual differences interact with our personality. And these are just, I think of Myers-Briggs as, in socionics, as your cognition, your cognitive type. It's just the kind of cognition that you have. And as I've said in other videos before, your behavior anyone can become conscious of what their cognition is saying and then use that as information to then try and make an unbiased decision based on your cognition. You're not a slave to your cognition. If you are, you're living in your ego 100%. You don't have to be a slave to your cognition. I can feel what other people are feeling as an FE dominant, and that doesn't mean that I have to be a slave to other people. You know, FI users, you can feel what you are feeling and you don't have to always act on it. You know, like, we can be mature about this. We don't have to stay stuck in whatever our personality type is. This is just our cognition and our preferences. And, you know, a lot of spiritual beliefs talk about, you know, transcending the ego and all of that. If you're interested in that, I would consider these things the ego, and I would consider my real self, Meghan LeVota, who I am deep down, to be using the ego as a tool. If your ego is using you, then you're a slave to your dominant function, and you're just doing whatever the hell it says for you to do. If you're a TI dom, it means that you're always going to be thinking. If you're SE, you're always going to be looking at the here and now. You won't ever be able to see outside of that, you know? And, you know, SI, you might be stuck in the past or stuck in your own experiences and unwilling to try something new. I don't think anyone wants to live that way. And so I would sort of equate growing, you know, enlightenment or whatever, transcending the ego, would be sort of putting you in charge of the wheel and not your personality type, because you could use your ego. I don't believe that the ego will ever truly die, because there's a reason why, you know, you are you, you're a human. We are all one, but as far as in this 3D reality, we all have names, and if you have a name, then you have an ego. So the ego is not bad. That's not what I'm trying to say, but we can use our egos as a tool and listen to our cognition and work with it. So what have I learned outside myself? I'm sorry if I haven't really been hitting the nail on the head in this question. I have learned that personally, if you're into astrology, I think that astrology gets more at the root of who I really am, my energy, more than personality type does. And that is because your natal chart is unique, pretty much, unless you're born at the exact same time and place from someone. Like, it really, there are so many aspects to it, and it really is unique. It really is you. Whereas there's like millions of people with your personality type. But anyway, what I've learned about me is that I'm a very strong-willed person, and I am very, very growth-oriented. And I think one of my favorite things about myself is my will. And I'm sure other ENFJs could relate, but I think once I decide to do something, if I believe that I can do something, I do anything that I can to do it. And I really appreciate that about myself, I guess. I really take everything in my life as an opportunity to grow. Even whenever I'm feeling not so great, I think about, how can I turn this into relatable content, pretty much? Or I think, how can I use my feeling to make somebody feel less alone? Or how can I use this feeling as an opportunity to learn about this problem so that I can help solve it? I'm very intense in that way. I guess my self-concept, the more I know about this stuff, the less I have it define me. And I think meeting other ENFJs that aren't exactly like me helps me actually to appreciate like who I am, while also appreciating how beautiful everyone's differences are. And the more you dive in, just the more nuanced it is. So I've learned that you should trust yourself. And whenever I trust myself and lean into growth, things always work out. They always do. And whenever I allow inspiration to come to me, rather than just stressing about little things I can't control, then the inspiration just comes to me. And I don't know, I would recommend this. With great power comes great responsibility. And if you are self-aware, that is powerful, because you know how to use yourself. And so your intentions should be good, I believe. I think this knowledge of knowing yourself to this extent, it pushes you into becoming your best version, or at least that's how it did to me. Or perhaps this is something about my self-concept. I guess I could say as well that I'm proud of myself, and also I'm proud. I think that human cognition is a lot more flexible than people think, and I think that this is almost like having a bar to hold on to, something to hold on to keep you grounded as you're stretching and as you're becoming more flexible. And I really do think anything's possible. Anything that you set your mind to, you can do. And understanding yourself is just a way to do that. And I guess, I'm sorry, I'm taking a moment to think here. I think the more and more I understand personality, character and desires become more and more important, and also maturity. But for example, character, I would say that I very much value integrity and authenticity, and I really value aligning my word with who I am and standing by everything that I believe in. And I don't want to hide anything. I don't like shoving things under the rug. I want to lean into the discomfort so that we can solve problems faster and take the mask off of people and help them realize how much in control we are of ourselves and of each other, and also help us realize the responsibility that we have to one another and to our world. When you truly see who you are and how you impact other people, it's pretty much impossible to not feel that fire under your ass helping you or moving you to be the best person that you could be. I think it's very hard to be super aware of your personality and not use it to grow, because then that self-awareness, if you don't really act on those things, that self-awareness can sort of just tear you apart, and then you know everything there is to know about all your flaws, and you can sort of just get into this closed mindset. And I see a lot of people get stuck in that, and where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this because, or like, oh my gosh, I'm an NP, my SE sucks, and oh my goodness, or like, oh my gosh, like my thinking sucks, like I can't do this. Like a lot of that negativity that we can put on ourselves. And I guess it is very hard to separate who I am outside of these concepts, and I'm even afraid of saying that I am something that nobody else is, because I believe that people can be so flexible that anybody can be whatever they want to be. I don't think that we are chained to having a certain sort of ego. We can, if you realize that you value something, then you can just become that value. Like, I value intellect a lot. I value truth a lot. I value integrity, authenticity. I value getting to the root of the issue and sharing things. And I guess what I would say, I'm proud of myself, Meghan LeVota, outside of being ENFJ. I'm proud. I feel like I'm very emotionally strong and I'm very brave. And I think my bravery and my courage and my ability to be openly emotional are the things that it's like emotional strength and emotional bravery. I think that that is what I am the most proud of myself for. And even when saying that, it's like, it's sort of like who I am is emotionally brave, authentic, whatever. And why is that? Because I'm an ENFJ, type 2, Leo with the Cancer rising and Aries moon. You know what I mean? It's like these things are sort of they inspire who I am. They're like different aspects that are part of who I am. But who I am is I'm Meghan LeVota, and I have something to say, and I'm a woman who dreams and is not just going to dream, I'm actually going to achieve it because I'm actually working on it. And I don't just have lofty goals. I actually set the goal and then do it. I'm very strong-willed, and I do what I set my mind to, and I keep my own promises with myself. And I know I want to be the next sort of Brene Brown, Marie Forleo sort of person, and I know I'm going to do it because I'm doing it. Not because I'm cocky, not because I think I'm better than anyone else, but because I am obsessed with reading leaders that I follow, and I am obsessed with looking at what were they doing at my age, and I do it. I just do it. So that is the thing that I love the most about myself, aside from being any of those things. But that doesn't make me better than anyone, because I chose to do that, and so I did it. That was in my power all along. And anything that you want to do in your power, you can do all along. And so, yeah, I think really what I'm realizing is that an INFP asked this question, and my FI is not strong enough to really know, but also because I don't have FI, I don't identify with anything that I'm doing. I just chose to do it, and I did it. And if you think that that is something that shows something deep about me or my character, I actually would love to hear some FI users' perspectives, because I have a hard time really taking pride in anything that I do, because all I did is I just chose to do it, and I feel like anyone could. And I feel like nothing I've done is special, because I'm just a person who decided to do something, you know? So even though it might seem like I'm really like cocky all the time or confident or whatever, like I really think I'm humble, because I don't attach myself to anything. Like, I don't think that I've ever done anything that is special, like at all. Like, everyone has it in them. We all have anything. If you desire something, then that is your soul trying to create that thing. I don't think it's possible to desire something that, I mean, that's just cruel. That's just the universe playing a trick on you. If you desire something, it is there for a reason. Like, when I listen to those, I take that very seriously, because not everyone desires things. Like, I mean, if you want to be a writer, I'm telling you, I don't want to be a writer. Like, maybe you want to write, and that's your thing. I like to speak. I'm going to write because it's a necessary evil for me getting my words out there. But I just take those desires very seriously, and I see it as something divine. And so I just act on it. That's all I do, and anyone can do that. So anyway, thank you for watching this video. Please ask your question below. I'm excited to get to it. And also, if I do not get to your question, I just wanted to let you know that I do offer like sort of one-on-one coaching. But if you just have one question, you just want me to quickly answer it, I have a service on that. on my Patreon, which is linked below. And then I also have a service where for $25 a week, and you don't have to do it more than 1 week, you can just do it once. You can ask me as many questions as you want, and I will answer them. So yeah, that's linked below as well. And I know a lot of you do reach out in my DMs and want me to answer a question. I really suck at boundaries, and I'm really trying to put myself first, and so it literally kills me to not respond and answer your question. So I've tried very hard to not only do this series, but also so you have a chance of your question being answered for free. But I also, you know, I'm trying very hard to put out affordable offerings so that your questions can be answered, and so that I can, you know, have the means to have the time to support answering them. So thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.